What if everything you've been taught about building wealth is backwards? We live in a culture obsessed with get-rich-quick schemes, investment hacks, and entrepreneurial shortcuts. Millions consume endless content about passive income, crypto trading, real estate flipping, and business scaling strategies. Yet most people remain trapped in financial frustration, working harder while falling further behind. Meanwhile, history's most legendary wealth builder never focused on money at all. The midnight encounter that changed everything. Picture this: a young king, newly crowned and overwhelmed by the magnitude of his responsibility, falls asleep after offering sacrifices to God. That night, the creator of the universe appears to him with an extraordinary offer. Ask for whatever you want me to give you. Imagine that moment, the blank check from God himself. What would you request? Wealth? Power? Military dominance? Long life? Destruction of your enemies? Solomon's answer reveals why he would become not just wealthy, but legendary, a man whose business acumen and organizational genius would be studied for millennia. Give your servant a discerning heart to govern your people and to distinguish between right and wrong. He asked for wisdom. And God's response? Since you have asked for this and not for long life or wealth for yourself, I will give you what you have asked for. Moreover, I will give you what you have not asked for, both wealth and honor, so that in your lifetime you will have no equal among kings. Solomon's wealth didn't trickle in gradually, it exploded. His annual income reached 25 tons of gold, which adjusted for today's gold prices and purchasing power represents billions of dollars. But the raw numbers barely capture the scope of his business operations. His strategic advantages were multiple and masterfully executed. He controlled critical trade routes connecting 3 continents. Caravans traveling from Egypt to Mesopotamia, from Africa to Asia, passed through Solomon's territory, each paying taxes and duties that filled the royal treasury. This wasn't accidental geography, it was strategic leveraging of position. His merchant fleet sailed from Ezion-Geber, bringing back gold, silver, ivory, apes, and peacocks every 3 years. These weren't simple trading missions, they were sophisticated commercial expeditions requiring complex logistics, navigation expertise, and international relationships. His mining operations extracted copper and possibly gold from regional deposits. Archaeological evidence suggests industrial-scale smelting operations during his reign, indicating sophisticated metallurgical knowledge and organized labor systems. His import-export business in horses and chariots operated like an ancient multinational corporation. He imported horses from Egypt and chariots from various sources, then exported them to kings throughout the region at substantial profit margins. His construction projects weren't just architectural marvels, they were economic engines. The temple, his palace complex, the House of the Forest of Lebanon, fortified cities, and infrastructure projects employed thousands, stimulated craft industries, and established Jerusalem as an economic powerhouse. When the Queen of Sheba heard reports of Solomon's wisdom and wealth, she traveled over 1,200 miles to investigate personally. What she discovered left her breathless. But here's what most people miss. She wasn't primarily impressed by his gold or buildings. 1 Kings chapter 10 verses 4 through 5 reveals what actually overwhelmed her. When the Queen of Sheba saw all the wisdom of Solomon and the palace he had built, the food on his table, the seating of his officials, the attending servants in their robes, his cupbearers, and the burnt offerings he made at the temple of the Lord, she was overwhelmed. Notice the sequence. Wisdom came first, then the physical manifestations of that wisdom. She observed his organizational systems, his administrative structures, his supply chain management, his human resource development, and his spiritual priorities. These operational excellences impressed her more than mere wealth displays. She declared, "The report I heard in my own country about your achievements and your wisdom is true. But I did not believe these things until I came and saw with my own eyes. Indeed, not even half was told me. In wisdom and wealth you have far exceeded the report I heard." International leaders traveled thousands of miles not to see his gold, but to learn his decision-making frameworks, his problem-solving approaches, and his governance strategies. The counterintuitive principle that builds real wealth. Here's the revolutionary insight that most people miss in their frantic pursuit of financial success. Wealth is a byproduct, not a target. Solomon prioritized wisdom, the ability to make sound decisions, discern truth from falsehood, understand complex situations, judge fairly, manage resources effectively, and lead people skillfully. The wealth followed inevitably because wisdom creates value, and value generates wealth. This principle appears throughout Scripture, but gets overlooked in our instant gratification culture. Proverbs chapter 3 verses 13 through 16 states, "Blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding, for she is more profitable than silver and yields better returns than gold. She is more precious than rubies, nothing you desire compares with her. Long life is in her right hand, in her left hand is riches and honor." Notice the imagery. Wisdom's right hand, the dominant hand, holds long life, while the left hand almost casually holds riches and honor. Wealth isn't the primary benefit of wisdom, it's the secondary effect. Why this matters for your financial future? Most people approach wealth building backwards. They chase money directly through get-rich-quick schemes, investment strategies focused solely on returns, business ventures driven by profit motives alone, career decisions based exclusively on salary, financial advice centered only on accumulation. This approach produces anxiety, poor decisions, ethical compromises, and often financial disappointment. Why? Because it lacks the foundational wisdom that creates sustainable wealth. Solomon's approach was radically different. He prioritized wisdom, the ability to make sound decisions, discern truth from falsehood, understand complex situations, and judge fairly. The wealth followed inevitably because wisdom creates value, and value generates wealth. The practical application for today. How do you apply Solomon's principle in your current situation? First, reorient your priorities. Instead of asking, "How can I make more money?" ask, "How can I gain wisdom in my field, my finances, my business, and my decisions?" This mental shift changes everything. Second, invest in wisdom acquisition. Study voraciously in your area of responsibility. Learn from mentors who demonstrate both wisdom and results. Analyze your past decisions to understand what worked and why. Seek feedback from those who have achieved what you desire. God promises to give wisdom generously to those who ask, in James chapter 1 verse 5. Third, practice discernment in decisions. Slow down your decision-making process. Consider long-term consequences, not just immediate gains. Evaluate opportunities through the lens of principle, not just profit. Ask deeper questions about any financial move. Does this align with wise principles? What could go wrong? What am I not seeing? Who else should I consult? Fifth, build value systematically. Focus on creating genuine value in your work, business, or career. Wisdom identifies where value can be created, how to deliver it excellently, and how to do so sustainably. When you create real value, wealth becomes the natural compensation. The warning Solomon discovered too late. Solomon's story contains a crucial warning. Despite his legendary wisdom, his later years revealed that even the wisest can make foolish choices when they stop applying their wisdom consistently.
his multiplication of wives, accumulation of horses, and compromise with idolatry, explicitly forbidden for kings in Deuteronomy chapter 17 verses 16 through 17, demonstrates that possessing wisdom and consistently applying it are different things. Ecclesiastes, likely written in his later years, reveals his reflection on this disconnect. Meaningless, meaningless, utterly meaningless. Everything is meaningless. The lesson: wisdom must be continuously applied, not just initially acquired. The principles that build wealth must be maintained to preserve and grow it. Character matters as much in prosperity as in poverty, perhaps more so. Your breakthrough starts with one prayer. Solomon's extraordinary success began with a single prayer: "Give your servant wisdom."